What's up, 2671 subscribers? AI chatbots. Some people say there is no way you can sell them successfully. Some people say they'll make you a lot of money, save the business, and you'll become a trillionaire. So who's right? I've been building my AI automation agency for a year and a half now. This month made $20,000 and sold 15 to 20 AI chatbots and agents to business clients. In this video, I want to explain what chatbots are, what chatbots businesses are ready to pay money for, and how to actually build them. First, we'll go to the logic and then hop on the actual tool so that you can see how to implement. First, chatbot classification. Different people, different opinions. This is how I understand it and explain it to my clients. Chatbots are simple tools that usually connect to the website through like RAG knowledge base. Essentially, you parse the information from the website and provide it as a context to the chatbot. You can also upload documents as an additional context. Agents, on the other hand, are tools which usually connect to third-party softwares through APIs. It really depends on your software that you're building on. Maybe they already have built-in integrations, so it should not be a problem. If they don't, you would need to use the APIs to connect to the management software, ERP, or CRM of the business. Most common use cases. These are not the use cases that I advise you to sell or use. These are the things that general market is saying and how chatbots are presented in the world right now primarily. Q&A bots and appointment bookings bots. Q&A, again, this could be a simple chatbot which has context about the business, about the most common questions that the business receive, and can behave and interact with the users as a sales agent or customer success representative providing the information. Appointment booking bot is more like an agent because usually you would connect it to at least like a calendar, maybe a CRM, when the appointment is booked to send it to the actual management software. But it's still very simple. Some people are trying to sell it and pitch it as a lead generation service. This is not, again guys, this is just my pure opinion. This is not a lead generation thing because I have a lead generation AI system which we use for our agency for the cold emails, and we build similar things for our clients. But these are the things that actually drive traffic. The appointment bookings bots are converting the traffic. Yes, they are capturing leads. So you can maybe say that this is a lead capturing and nurturing system, but it's not like a lead generation thing. But again, it really depends on how you pitch it to the businesses. These are the things how the 99% of the businesses understand when you say we will build you a chatbot. They will either think about the Q&A bot or the appointment booking bot. There's no way you sell it for a good price. Obviously, there are use cases and they'll still be relevant, but this is not what this video is about. Okay, guys, very quick but really important announcement for me. I am launching my first and only business designed specifically for my audience, for you. It's called 99players.com. I'm not gonna explain what it actually is, but it's designed to fix 4 problems for you. First, not knowing how to close clients, not knowing how to create an offer and what offers are working, not knowing how to build in-depth, complex AI agent solutions and automations, and not knowing who to actually talk to. So these 4 problems will be fixed by 99players.com. This will be obviously a paid product. It will be launched November 9th. This is the first ever, announcement, or I never spoke about it before. I will also send the information, the very basic announcement like I did right now to my newsletter subscribers. There is a link in the description right now. you can go to the link and subscribe for a waiting list. There's no info there, but specifically to the newsletter subscribers, to the waiting list subscribers, I will send updates every week before the launch so that you can be updated. Okay? I'm not gonna tell you more what this actually is, but it's gonna be paid. Okay? This is not a free thing, so that you are aware. Okay, continue to the video. Now, who are the clients? When you are building the agent for or want to offer this to your clients, or maybe you want to build it for your business, you need to understand the structure of the company, right? So first, what's the size? Who are the employees and what they do? Depending on the employees count, the solution will vary. Also, you need to keep in mind that if the company has, let's say, 50 plus employees, it doesn't really matter that they will successfully use the chatbot, because maybe their clients do not interact with the business as how you would expect, right? So that's why you actually need to dive deep into the processes to understand who is your ideal customer profile, how many employees they have, and what employees do certain things. Like, do they have SDRs? Do they have customer success representative? If they sell like technical products, do they have a technical team that provides general support? Okay, now, most interesting part, the niche. Again, this is very generic classification. There is a B2B and B2C niche. Business to business, business to customer. For the B2B, again, to classify it even further, let's say you have physical businesses and service-based businesses. Again, there are more, but let's keep it simple. So things like wholesale, commercial insurance, maybe manufacturer, construction. Insurance is not a physical business, whatever. I think you get the idea. So, and there are services like the agencies, like me. I'm not the marketing agency, but whatever, like the development agencies, marketing agencies, content agencies, SEO agencies. So the services and the businesses, because I am the B2B business, right? And the businesses that also serve other businesses, but with like physical products or with some additional services which are not related to marketing. Because like, I would not classify commercial insurance under the same category as like my agency, because we're like both offering services, but like they're essentially very, very different. Anyways, so what is the specific in the B2B niche? Higher checks and one customer cost more money. It means that integrating, when you trying to integrate an automation, again, we're not talking about automations. And this is why I said in the beginning that we sold 15 to 20 agents or chatbots, however you want to call it. But these are not all of the solutions that we did, because we are kind of transferring more to the automation side. Automations are more complex things that like putting different pieces together. It's not the like thing that interacts with the clients, right? So, but for the sake of this video, we're keeping it simple and only talking about chatbots, aka agents in some cases. So, you need to understand, if you are integrating this thing to businesses, right? The people, the people who will interact with the agent are like for example, like decision makers from other businesses. So these are like the businesses. And when you are working with like a wholesale, commercial insurance manufacturer, or even a service provider, the checks that like the transaction value is much higher compared to like something in B2C with either like physical location or even with an e-com product, right? So each customer costs more. And it, like in most of the cases, the average order value is not the final value of the customer, because there is a lifetime value. So what I'm saying is that if you are going to integrate this thing, you need to ask yourself, why would they use it? Because if the average like customer value is $10,000 for them, the risk of losing this customer because of the mistake in the AI, because of like some sort of a hallucination or some sort of a not type of the experience that they want to provide to the client, is high. Like the risk is very high. And obviously you can try to sell and pitch them this thing, and we do that, right? So we sell to B2B businesses, but I will explain you later what kind of the solutions that you can provide. But you need to keep that in mind. You need to understand that this is a whole another industry, right? So these guys care a lot about human interaction, not because they want, right? Not because they want to spend more time. It's just because the mistake value is really, really high. Okay? Now, B2C businesses. These are where agents are more useful from my experience, but obviously there's more competition. But again, there are more use cases, and you can choose very specific use case for a very specific niche with a very specific tool, but we're going to talk about it later. Again, let's classify them very broadly. So there is an e-com, there are like physical location and services, and there are like service. Again, these are like service-based businesses. The coaches, I'm just putting it here because there's some sort of a narrative on YouTube of people, and I see it even in my comments. People saying, oh, I'm building the chatbot for a coach. I'm like going to target, like when they say they are already building this thing, great, good job, you landed the client. But when you're saying that you're planning to target the industry, this is a bad idea, and I'll explain you why. For the e-com, again, it also classifies on the marketplace in D2C. I own the e-com brand, and this like will use one of my stores in the example at the second part of the video, where I'll show you the technical background. But we're like, our primary sales channel is marketplace. That's why we're not using the chat. Like, I own an AI agency, and we don't use chatbots or agents in my other business, right? Because there's no need. We don't have traffic on our website. We have like a few sales a week. So most of our traffic is inside Etsy and Amazon. That's why there's no way like to connect the agent there. So we don't really care about it. But there are D2C brands that are selling on either social media or the websites, right? Probably all of them sells through social media using the ads, but some brands are specifically designed on like the Instagram or maybe right now TikTok shop. Anyways, so these are kind of different use cases. So what's the specific here? Volume and the complexity of the products. So in order for the businesses to see some sort of a value from the bot that you're going to integrate, okay? So let's call it a bot. Let's not call it like a chatbot or an agent. So let's call it a bot. So they need to see some sort of a volume. Again, we're like primarily talking about D2C brands. It means that if they're going to pay you money for it, they need to see the return on investment. Right now, the space is very democratized. They can go to the Shopify App Store and like get an app for $15 a month. 15 different apps, different prices. There is like some apps that cost $200, and upload all the products there, and that's it. It will be able to provide basic information about the products and answer basic questions. So if you are building something complex, they need to see the return on investment, and there are use cases for it, obviously, and we are currently building a few, and I'm going to record videos on multiple e-com projects that we do for our clients, right? But you need to see the volume of the people that come to the website and start the chat with your bot, right? You can proactively engage with the users, popping out different messages, creating the buttons that will like pop up your bot widget. But still, if they have like 100 clients, 100 leads, prospects, visitors a month, so why would they do, right? So you need to keep that in mind. Also, in the complexity, depending on the product that you're going to sell. So if the product is complex, for example, if it's a supplement, people usually will have a lot of questions about the product, and you can like further classify them classify the bot, and this is what you usually do when you develop such a solution, on the new customers interaction and existing customers interaction. With the supplements, the problem is that there are a lot of the interactions with the current clients, because first, some of the supplements brands sell the retainer, like the subscription for like vitamin C, whatever, or the CMOS. It means that the customers like buy it regularly, and they need to manage their subscription, they need to manage their account, they will have the returns and refunds requests, they will have the complaints, the reviews, so all these things. And all these things need to be managed. There are like apps on Shopify, WooCommerce, on the platforms that help you to do that. There are accounts, but still, this is like a very good use case for the supplement niche. But the problem is that, again, the like competition is high, and like you need to see the volume of, you need to see the good traffic in order for it to work. And also you have the use case for and the flow that the agent will go to when there's a new customer that is asking a lot of questions about like the ingredients and the use cases for like the benefits of like certain supplement. Okay, so we'll go later on what you exactly can do, but let's go to the next category: physical locations. These are local businesses, right? Salons, HVAC, dental, dealerships, insurance, whatever. Insurance, again, insurance is kind of very interesting niche. I'm not sure. I wouldn't call it a local like business. Again, it really depends on the agency, but whatever. I think you got the idea. So here, same thing, lead flow. This is kind of the biggest use case. So if we in like that is pitched by your favorite gurus and YouTubers. So these are like two main things that the bot can do, right? By their understanding and by what they present. Q&A and appointment setting, you union it together with local businesses, and now, yeah, it might seem like you have the business now. You will do an appointment setting bot for HVAC, or like Q&A bot for a dental clinic, right? No. Okay. Yes, you can do that, right? And there are like, you can, if you already sold something like that, you can let me know in the comments. I also did, and I know that it's really sometimes it's really useful. Problem is that I'm more talking about the high ticket services that you can charge, $5,000+ and this is, again, it really depends on the use case, but usually very hard to charge like an HVAC company $5,000 for a Q&A chatbot. Right here, you can charge like a salon $300 to build them the appointment booking bot, and they'll probably pay money for it. And I think there is a good business model that you build a solution with a great templates that apply to like different industries, and you're trying to cold pitch it a lot. But this is kind of a numbers game. You need to send a lot of the cold emails or do a lot of the phone calls. So you need to put up the volume and calculate your cost, right? The development cost. Are you going to charge retainer? Are you going to only do the one-timers? Then how and who's going to manage it? And there are like different use cases for it. It is a good model, but this is not what I'm suggesting you to do. I'm not saying that you should not go in like for the local businesses. You absolutely should, but you should kind of do what I'm going to explain you next, right? Okay, so you need to keep in mind the lead flow. Again, if a lot of the local businesses, most of them, do not rely on the website that much, right? So they have different resources where they get the calls from and the leads from. And if you're gonna come to them and say, hey, we're gonna like implement this thing to your website, and this is gonna cost that much. If they have like 10 visitors a month, so why would they do that, right? And you might say, oh, okay, even if they have like smaller amount, we'll convert one more customer, it will be worth the value. Yes, hard to sell. Okay, from my experience. Urgency, 24/7 cases. This is an additional thing that you need to keep in mind, that this is like an additional use case for the local businesses, where they offer something which require 24/7 contact with the customer. So for example, like water restoration services. So usually customer can call throughout like outside of the business hours, right? And this is like we did actually two services. It was the automate, it was voice AI agents plus automations on the back end that were specifically solving problems for these two businesses, if I remember correctly, that we're experiencing a lot of phone calls out of office hours, right? So we did like an agent, the chatbot agent, as well as like it was a simple chatbot, as well as the voice AI thing that was receiving the call, capturing the details, and then sending it to the business afterwards. Okay, when they come to the office. So you need to keep all these things in mind for the coaches. The third category. Again, similar thing as with service like agencies and with like B2B kinda, even if you serve individuals, the cost of each customer is really high, and I don't really see how you can do it successfully. There is a ManyChat thing, right? It means that when someone subscribes to your profile or to the profile of the coach, to the business, you like send them the DM, you automate the comments section, and you can obviously like integrate something like that for the local businesses if they run their social media accounts. But again, it's very specific use case. Like, would you consider me a coach? I am planning to launch something in November. So stay in touch and stay updated. But I like it's not whatever. It's not. I would not consider myself as a coach. And even if I would be a coach, I don't see myself hiring like an agency that would do that, right? Because there's not setting up the ManyChat is not as hard, right? And to connect it to your like social media profile is very straightforward. So I don't really see that much use cases for a chatbot. There are great use cases for like different automations that can be run and like is running on, for example, my agency side. The same thing applies to the like consultants or the coaches that work directly with like other individuals. These automations can improve like something like a show up rate and can save a lot of time on handling the like the request and the delivery process, right? But these are not chatbots, so we're not gonna talk about the use cases right now. Okay, so here are the stars. This is how like I classify like what type of an bot that can be applied to the specific business. So for the B2B industry, if we are talking about this three things, these are what I would consider one of the best use cases for the bots, right? There is a technical support thing. Again, guys, disclaimers. I'm always like trying to put you as much disclaimers that it's not super straightforward. It's not like you need to follow what I say exactly. I'm just trying to give you an overview on what's possible. Okay. So the technical support is it applies for the businesses that sell more complex items where usually people ask a lot of questions. And this could be either A, the prospect, the leads that have not yet purchased anything from the business, or B, these are the customers already, like the existing clients that currently like buying something on a regular basis and have questions about like something not working. Okay. I actually recorded a video not that while ago. I think it was like 2 videos ago. You can go watch for a company that sells outdoor and indoor heaters, right? Heaters are a very complex product, and there are a lot of things that go wrong. That's why we integrated the technical support agent, and that was a simple chatbot. That's why I'm saying this could be considered a chatbot, because the only thing that you need is a really good structured knowledge base, which usually would consist of the website information as well as all the technical documentation about this document, about the products, right? And usually the documentation is in the PDF, so you would need to scrape the PDF, you would need to structure it in something like the Markdown, and then upload it to the knowledge base. And then you just create the flows and now like people can actually talk to the documents, right? This is just a very simple chatbot, which can be beneficial, but you do need to understand the volume that they will have as well as how it's currently handled in their team. Okay, so that again, they see the return on investment. Account management. This is like more of a use case for someone like a wholesaler. Manufacturing, yeah, we did actually one manufacturer, but it like wasn't only the account management, but we did I think like three or four solutions for the account management. One of them I recorded on the YouTube. You can like go watch the video. In the title there's like a wholesaler use case, because I've been targeting this industry a lot in my cold emails. The idea is that in the wholesale niche, businesses usually have like provide accounts to their customers. Again, depending on the company size, they usually have accounts, and inside accounts they make orders. But they have a lot of questions on where is the order. They can track it inside the software the same way as they do with the e-com, but since it's like larger amounts, they have like more problems, and they might like submit different inquiries about something is missing, or like checking the inventory. So there are kind of a lot of different use cases for it. And for this specific use case that I'm like explaining you now, that I recorded a video about, we've been connecting the bot to the SAP management software. And this is an actual agent, right? This is not a simple chatbot, because we need to connect to third-party tools in order to provide the information about the customer accounts to the customer inside their account, right? So they have like an account visual, like on the web. This account is handled by third-party software, and the database is handled in somewhere in like SAP or Salesforce, and it's all connected, and you need to connect your agent to interact with all of them and retrieve information. So this is a very complex use case, but if the client, if the company does have a lot of clients, right, it could be a very, very interesting solution. For the customer support, it really depends. I didn't put anything here. Very generic. Usually, if they do have a lot of inquiries, they have a customer support team, and you need to see how, like, are you actually going to replace the team? So businesses are not kind of willing to right away fire their like department and replace it with the AI. So you need to kind of integrate it a little bit more into the processes, and the implementation cycle here is much bigger than in something like a technical agent or the account management, which usually they like don't have right now, and they're like handling these inquiries either badly throughout 48 to 72 hours, or don't handle them at all, right? Again, depending on the business. Now, for the e-com, as I said, you need to have the volume, and you need to have the complex products, ideally. This is the agent, because the agent will be connected to their platform, Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, whatever. For the physical location, local businesses, same thing, lead flow, urgency, this is the agent, right? And for the coaches, this is also an agent, because it's going to be connected to Instagram, whatever. This is the main chat, right? Anyways, so as you can see, the implementation for the chatbots are like the chatbot, like very simple thing, is I think it's not like a really good way to go to. It's like the chatbots are not as easy to sell as something like an agent, and even like agents is very hard to sell. But there's no way like you can build this simple chatbot for a local business, right? You can say, hey Eugene, yeah, we can upload all the documents about their services, and it will like provide all the answer all the questions about their services, and will help them to handle more inquiries. But again, like, what's the final point? What's the return on investment? They need to see something. They at least like something like a booking, right? At least. So you will answer the questions, you'll book the appointments, you'll try to proactively engage with the customers, And very simple use case from here, and from here you'll merge it together, and you'll also connect it to their third-party software to upload all the information to follow up with the customer. And now you connect like more automations, and now you have kind of an AI infrastructure or whatever. Okay, ecom, very, very competitive environment. I see that people are still trying to sell it to this type of businesses. But again, you need to have a context about the business. Usually it's very hard like cold sell it to the ecom brands because they receive a lot of inquiries, they need to trust you. So there are a lot of issues with this. So if I would choose like this or this, I would choose like local and businesses with physical locations. Again, this is like what I do. I did when I was starting out, but we never run cold outreach for the ecom brands right now. We do receive quite a few incoming inquiries from my YouTube videos about implementing an AI agents for the ecom brands. But again, these are not that cold leads. Okay. For the technical support, this is the chatbot. This is, as I said, really good use case for a chatbot. And for the account management, this is kind of an agent. Okay. That was an overview on what are like kind of different scenarios. Now let's go to the sales. Tell me what's the goal of integrating an agent, right? So let's call it an agent because primarily we would build an agent, not a chatbot. Okay, so what's the goal? And you might say, we will mimic human behavior, right? So if the task is currently handled by their sales team, technical team, or support agents, whatever, or is not handled, right? So we're like trying to show the customer that there's a real human behind the widget that is ready to answer all of their queries 24/7. Or it's to like simplify it, we're trying to help the customer, right? So are we like trying to mimic human behavior, or are we like really trying to help the customer? So the difference is that from my experience, people don't really care who's going to provide the support or how they will get the information from the AI or from the human. They just need their questions to be answered right away, and they need the solutions to their problems. And we'll talk about it later. But the next question is that we all should ask ourselves. So what is the edge? And the edge, like, it's very hard to explain an edge. An edge is something that would give you a leverage in the industry, right? So why would like businesses do that? You can kind of create different sales tactics on trying like to pitch it and sell it to the business, right? Sell the agent to the business. But then why would like customers actually benefit from something like an agent, right? So what you need to understand exactly how and why they will use it, and how exactly it will benefit the like your customer, the actual company. As I said, customers trying to solve the problems right away. They want the problems to be solved right away, and they don't really care if it's AI or human. When you are integrating an agent, you can think about it as inputs that the customer provides and the outputs. Inputs being you are asking some questions or customer listing their problems, right? And you're trying to find the solution. And the solution would be the output. So in order for it to work successfully, right? So you are trying to provide concise information as accurate as possible, right? So this is kind of your main goal, because we're not, depending again on the use case, but we don't usually want to provide like multiple paragraphs of text explaining how they can fix certain things or how like what we want from them. So it should be concise, very human-like, okay? And it must be accurate. especially if you're working with like businesses that are kind of health related, dentals, salons, or with the businesses that have higher checks and where the customer value is much higher. Okay, so let me do this. So this is like kind of your main goals. But the inputs, you're asking questions primarily, right? So you're asking questions and getting a response back and providing the out. Okay, so now we came to the final conclusion, right? It's not the final part of the video, but this is the final conclusion. We are always trying to find an edge in the market, meaning how do we let people know that AI is the way to go? So both the businesses that you're going to sell to and the actual final customers. How do we do that? And I think about it like a lot. So how we can improve the customer experience, how we can make sure they receive everything they need from the AI, not caring either it's, as I said, is either it's an AI or human. Like how? Like what are the different tools we can use? And this is where it comes to the response and input representation inside the chat widget. So let me give you an example in the inputs. So for example, this is how the regular structure of the conversation with an agent looks, right? So for example, we're asking, hey, recommend me something. So ask, sure, you build a flow where before doing certain thing, user need to provide you certain inputs. Same thing applies to, hey, book an appointment, or hey, help me with this task. You need to clarify the intent from the user, right? And you usually do that by asking questions. So you program your agent to ask different questions, and depending on the response, you are giving different type of information or asking more questions. And here is, you can see, it says, could you please tell me your name? Awesome. Nice, Eugene. Now, are you looking for a chair for yourself or for multiple people? That was the bot that I was building for one of the clients, and I actually did record a video about it. So, and I say for myself, then it asks another question. So, hey, what do you currently use the chair? And there are 10 different questions. We're trying to understand what the customer is looking for, what specifically is. This is an ergonomic furniture business. They're primarily selling chairs. That's why if the customer says something like recommend me a product, means that they are looking for a chair recommendation. In order to recommend it, we need to ask a lot of questions. So we need to get a lot of inputs. Here is the problem. In order to get that, you need to have a lot of questions. And this is not an ideal scenario. This is how human would do that, right? Hey, what are you looking for? Tell me more. He will usually give you the description, and then, okay, so are you looking for a mesh back seat or a fabric? So you will ask different questions, the same way as human would. But remember, we are trying to improve, right? So because we are competing with real humans by implementing this thing. So how we can potentially kind of improve the overall user interface of the web chat? By introducing something like this. So these are custom actions. A quick disclaimer, actually two. First, this is built on voiceflow, and in 5 minutes I will show you the backend on the voiceflow and how exactly you can go about integrating this thing into your agent. But obviously there are different platforms. Maybe you use something different, so you need to research if it's possible there and implement it kind of similar way if they allow you to render third-party objects inside the chat widget. So this is the first disclaimer. So this scenario will be built on voiceflow. We built all of our agents and chatbots on voiceflow. That's why I'm showing you this, and I do recommend them. Second thing, everything will be in my resource hub. I will mention it again, but this is a pretty complex thing, right? And I know a lot of you will ask, to provide me the resources. It will be there. So everything will be in the first link in the description. You go there, put your email, and it will send you the link to my resource hub with everything, right? So all the resources from my videos, as well as the code from the voiceflow that I'm gonna show you next. Okay, that was a disclaimer. Now, as you can see, these are completely different interfaces, which serve this. Don't pay attention to the to the content, right? It's ask for the chairs, and this is the HVAC service. Doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that essentially we are completing the same thing, but solving the problem by introducing additional interface elements that will allow users to provide the information to us more freely, right? Faster and more accurately, right? And this might be an actual edge in your pitch in your business and in overall integration. So human cannot render something like that. And when you ask, let's say there will be a human behind this chat, and he will ask a lot of the questions. And especially with more complex businesses that would because this is a very simple question, but what if we are trying to ask a more complex thing with different options, right? So we would create huge sentence, the human would create huge sentences. Hey, tell me no, let me know if you're looking for this can do this, or this and this can do this. So, and customers will still, if they're interested, they will still interact with this live agent, right? But if they have something like that, which is more visual and much more, it's much easier to understand in process, they will have easier time to provide information. Thus, the completion rate of the chat will be higher. Thus, you will generate more leads, or you will create more conversions. Again, the conversions can be measured differently for different businesses, for different use cases, right? So I guess even if for the e-commerce, you're not trying to convert it to the purchase, even though it's the final end goal. You might capture the email and then nurture it through the cold the email marketing campaigns, or for whatever, the local business, the conversion might not be the service offered, right? It may service sold. It could be a lead captured, the qualified lead qualification, or the booking, or the information provided, meaning the customer is satisfied and will go to the next step. Again, there are different things that you need to consider, but the goal is that once you enrich the user experience inside the chat, you will have much more chances to success, and this is where your edge may be. If you compare this to a real human, right? You can say to the business, right? It will behave. So the messages that it will send are exactly the same as the human messages. So if it the agent will have 2-minute delay, there's no way the final customer will understand and know that it's not a real human. Again, it's quite hard to do, but right now it's possible. But it's not enough, right? Besides this agent being 100 or 95% human-like, it will enrich the customer experience by providing the things that the agent, which is live, cannot do, right? Okay. And the same thing applies to the outputs. So how would you usually, right? So let's say here, I don't have an example here, but for example, we are capturing all the details, and then we will say, hey, here is what are all of your options, right? And you'll have like the product 1 button, like the product 2 button, product 3 button, or if it's not ecom or wholesale related that like require physical products, it will be something like the huge amount of text, like a suggestion with a markdown format. Sure, you should do like the bold text, the italic or italic, whatever, the paragraph, so it's gonna be like nice formatted. But what if you will also do it in visual elements, like here, right? So you will kind of do the different blocks that will kind of give people visual representation and like visual answer. This is kind of like a website experience inside the chat, right? There is a reason why websites are not just blank text plus images, right? There are like different elements that users can interact with. The same way you can like build your agents. Now, I will show you how to actually do that on voiceflow. But before we start, I want to say it's not a new thing. Obviously, you could do that a few months ago. Like, I'm not sure how long like voiceflow already has custom actions, but we were not actively using them. The only thing that we did were forms and login forms, or the input capturing forms. If you watched any of my previous tutorials, you know that inside the chat, usually we render something like the form where they can provide, for example, for the login, email, and the password. And when I was building the solution for a wholesaler here, right? So we've been doing this, like to integrate it to the SAP, their sales agents needed to log in. And this is how we were like rendering the experience. They provided their email and the password, and then it was logging them in. It was also a custom action, but that's it. But what I'm thinking is that, again, I'm at the same place as you. Maybe I'm like a few steps like ahead, but we're experiencing the same things, right? It's the democratization of the market. Right now, businesses can spend like less time building same quality agents that they would pay money for a year ago. And like we're always trying to find this edge, and I'm always thinking about it. And I see that this is the actual future, to provide actual visual interfaces inside the chat experiences that the business provide to the customer. Okay, now let's hop on the actual demo and see how it works. This is a voiceflow scenario. Again, this scenario with all of this code will be in my resource hub, so don't worry. Now, I use for the website that I have, Quimple.agency, for my agency website, I use Framer to build it, right? And this is just the whatever, like the template from Framer. And as you can see, I created a separate page here, and on this page I have a full page embed. It's just easier for you to illustrate how it works. As you can see, this is a separate page, Quimple.agency/AI. This is like a separate page. Now, in this page, we have an embed block, right? So there's an embed block, and here is the HTML. This HTML is very important because here this is where we actually specify what things we want to render inside our chat. Inside voiceflow, you have the things called custom actions here. Okay, there are like multiple videos on YouTube right now about custom actions on voiceflow. They even have a few on their YouTube channel, but let me give you a very non-technical. I am not technical, and this code was not made by me, and I will explain you how you can. It was made by Claude, and I will also like give you all the prompts so that you can like actually do that. Obviously, for the final version that we're planning to implement it to the agent, you would need someone to like design you the HTML. It's going to be like easier, but for now, I will give you a non-technical overview on how you can actually do that. When you put custom action block here, it will ask you for three things: custom action name, action body, and the path, right? So this is the custom action that is currently working. Okay, so let's connect. So we have the name. Essentially, this is like a trigger. When user will inside the flow will go to this block, right? It will call the part of the script that we have here, right? So there is a script, and I will show you it in like more. Okay, so let me actually go to the Claude. So this is the Claude. This is the script. Okay, so it will actually call this element when the user reaches this specific block, right? And that's why you need to have it exactly as written here, ext product display. Okay, now path, obvious. When it's rendered, we're going to the complete math path and waiting for the user response. We also have a custom action body, and I will explain you like later how and what like what's the point. Let me first show you how it works. Essentially, we have the start. Okay, inside the start, we're like here we're setting the variables. Again, we don't really need it for it now, I think. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, so it's this one. So here is the like the actual like service booking extension. So start hi. It will call the extension right away. So it will call the script. Again, this is not this extension, so it's another one, whatever. So it will call the extension, will render the extension because this name was called, will process the JavaScript, whatever, and then will display the values when the user inputs something. Okay, so inside my embed block, I have this code, right? I pasted this code, I published the bot, published the website, and now when I go to the website, let's reload it, and let's restart the conversation. So as you can see, when we press start, it will not ask us anything. It will just say hi and should render the form. Okay, so when we click start, it renders this form. As you can see, it's not properly formatted. That's why you should probably like build it yourself to the actual client and not just use Claude, whatever. And here, let's say we can choose our service, we choose our date. Okay, so we choose the date, we put the name, Eugene, we put the email, and we like test. When we click book, it will run because it's like waiting for the success path. So as you can see, when this action is rendered, we are stopping until something happens, right? And when the user clicks this button, right, book a service, we are running this JavaScript and then outputting the variables. So as you can see, it output one, right? So this one service, which is air dust cleaning, it output the price, the date, the Eugene, the email, and the test. And now you can like call an automation and call your CRM and put it there, right? Or do something with this information inside the flow. Now, to the code. The code is here. If you copy my template, which is in the resource hub, you will have it. So the only thing that you need to change here is the project ID. Whatever. So let me show you how to actually do that. I have a separate agent on Claude. I was planning to try ChatGPT, as you see here, to do that with, especially with the new Canvas feature. Like not like 100% positive that it's gonna work, but whatever. So it is trained on the information from voiceflow, right? So it is trained to like create the embed in a certain style, right? So as you can see, it's formatting this thing with like how you would actually embed this thing into the website. So I just need to copy the code and go to Framer. So like the width, the height, this is like of this specific object. So it's rendering this like widget right? And then it's running the actual script. I'm not gonna go into the script. I'm not technical, so this is usually done by my developers, but whatever. So if you are technical, you would understand what it means. It doesn't really matter. What matters is you go into Claude. I will also have a prompt, right? You go to Claude, you start a new chat, you copy the prompt from my resource hub. Like, this is the prompt that I use to create like this specific thing. It says like, hey, create the custom actions for voiceflow. This is kind of the documentation for it. And then after you create the agent and it understands what you want from the agent, you go here to my thing. You Control C, Control A, Control C. You copy everything. You paste it here, right? So you paste it here like a file, because it's pretty big, and say, hey, please format this custom action to do X or Y. And now you can play around with it and create your own actions, right? Then when it's finished, you copy the code, you go here, you paste the code here, right? And you deploy. Same thing applies to the bubble pop-up. You can like do it there, so it's not a problem. It really depends. So for example, here you can ask the Claude, hey, I'm not looking for a full embed, I'm looking for a bubble like pop-up, so please like help me to create the script. So let's actually see another scenario that I already, like another custom actions that I already created. So if we connect this start to here, it will ask us, what product do you want, right? So the idea is that we should list, like imagine that it's an e-commerce agent. So we will input something like a product name, like what we're looking for. It will search for the products and recommend us the product. This is like very simple, right? But since so how do we going to display the products, right? You can display the products using the, using the like carousel, right? You can upload the images, you can do the cards, and it's going to be like a carousel. Or you can just do the text, or you can do the images, you can do the cards. So there are already pre-built blocks inside voiceflow that you can use to display the products. But what if we are going further? So what if we want to create like something very unique, right? I think I will have a separate video where I will go in depth into the custom actions for like e-commerce and the businesses that sell physical products, because they have kind of more use cases for it. But the idea is that, okay, so we're not capturing anything, right? So we are displaying the product. And the same way could be applied to, for example, like if it's some sort of a service, right? Maybe it's a clinic and the customer says, hey, what are my like billing, or what are like the visits? And instead of like just giving the text, you will render something something cool, right? So to give a visual representation of your output. So how do we actually do that? Yeah, sure, because this is very static. It means that there is a code, right? And inside the code here, we are now product display. No, it's not this code. So let me show you. It should be this one. So here, whatever, somewhere. So if we look closely here, see, there's a price. So these are static values. So when it renders this custom action here, the values are static, right? So we're not like getting them from somewhere. So all the values are the same for all the customers. But what if the values are unique, like products, right? So customer says something, recommend me the product, like all the products are different, so you need to get the products and render them. Same thing applies to the billing in the dental clinic or whatever, like displaying the past services or the different like services that like we offer, right? This is where the action body comes in handy. This specific scenario is built on top of my own Shopify store. Okay, as I mentioned, I own the brand. So in order, first, like the first goal is to connect this like Shopify account to our voiceflow agent, right? So that we put all the products that we have to the voiceflow, right? How do we do that? There is a great extension already right now called Streamline Connector, right, for the voiceflow. So you go here and you add a new assistant, you give it a name and give it an API key. So you go here, I think you understand where to get the API key or whatever, so you get the API key. Once it is done, right, so it will pop up here. So you'll go to manage data, and here you like specify what data you want to put from the Shopify you want to put to your voiceflow, and you say, okay, create send products, right? Okay, so you will send all the products that you have to the, you can send the products, you can like specify what fields you want to send about these products to the voiceflow. Okay, and then you click kind of confirm and save. Once it's done, as you can see, I was like, it was imported like yesterday, I was testing this. If you go to your voiceflow, in the knowledge base, you will have this data source, all one. And these are the chunks that we have about the products, right? These are kind of active products that we currently have, right? In on this Shopify store. Again, we're not like using Shopify, we're not like using actively like our website. You can just go here and obviously buy some products. And we even have like just default Shopify inbox. Don't really care. Anyways, so, but for the businesses that do care, it's going to be a game changer. So once you connect it, you will see that there is a data source which is structured in in Markdown. And is it Markdown or HTML? Whatever. Okay, so this is like kind of all the products that you have, right, from the Shopify. And now, here's what we're gonna do. Inside the flow, you'll ask, hey, what products do you want? And we'll save the entire response into the loss to trends variable. Once it's done, we'll have a set AI step, which we'll call the knowledge base. Inside the knowledge base, we'll have, okay, so this is the loss to trends. This is what the product, like the user wants. And the goal is to output, let's say, 4 products, even if we have one, just for the sake of the example, output 4 products in the JSON format. The format structure doesn't really matter. I was like testing one thing. Anyways, so we are trying to like recommend the products, right? So if we say something, like, let's actually do that. Okay, so let's add a message, and here you can see that we are saving the products into the products JSON variable. So if we're gonna reference this products JSON, okay, so Jesus. Okay, so if we're gonna reference this variable, let's actually start it. So it will ask us, hey, kinda, what is the product? I'll say, I want a pajama. So now it will call our knowledge base, and if you remember, in our knowledge base we have the products that were imported from our Shopify directly. Now we have kind of the JSON structure of the products. Again, like, you don't need to have the JSON structure. I was just adding this thing. So, and now you can technically save the information about the products and render them as the cursor, right? Okay, but what if we want to have like kind of more in-depth experience, right? So we will like land it here, and this is where I have a lot of set AI steps. Essentially, the goal is to analyze and find product title 1 because it's structured in JSON and it's product title 1, product title 2, product title 3. So it's finding the value and saving the value into the variable, right? And the data is products JSON, okay? And we're saving the titles, we're saving the URLs for the images, description, and the pricing. Price for each product, okay? So now, once it's done, it will, all of these variables, right? So all of the, like, where is it? The, like, product title 1, product title 2, product title, will have values with the products that we are interested in that we inputted here, okay? So it's like description and the first image URLs. Now we're saying hi, whatever. So let's actually delete this and let's connect it to the custom action. Now, once it's okay, sometimes it's bagging. So once it saves all the variables, we don't need any more inputs from the user. So the user just said, "I'm looking for a pajama," right? And we need to render something. In order to render this, we need to have the custom action. So now it will call this this specific script, and this is where this is, where is it? This is this script, right? So this is the last one, as you can see here. It's calling the ext product display, okay? And this is the product display. But we need to let the this script know, this script, like this one, right? What are the values that it needs to render, because these are not predefined values. It, like, the script need to render pajamas, right? So here we are somewhere here, whatever, like I have no idea. So somewhere here we are actually rendering, like letting know, okay, so these are the variables, as you can see in the action. So these are the image is inside the like we have multiple products, right? And image is product image 1, title, product title 1, description. So we are saying, because, and this is how you referenced like the variables in voiceflow. So here, before rendering the custom action, the script will have all this information that it can use to display the products. And it will actually do that, okay? So let's see and test, okay? Let's do this, because there's this code, right? So I will just go here, Control C. You will need to do the same, but you need to obviously change the project ID somewhere. Anyways, but I suggest you to create the Claude agent separately. Okay, so we'll go to my framework. We'll delete this. Okay, so there is nothing. So we'll paste the new script. It renders it. Okay, so let's actually so it's 70, so it's bigger. Update. So we're waiting for the changes to be published. When it says published, we'll update the page and we'll start the new thing. Okay, now, okay, I did not for some reason, yeah, I did not publish it. Okay, so let me publish. And we don't need to reload because the script was updated, so just this. It will ask us what product do we own. So I want pajamas. Now, if you see here, it will call the knowledge base, find the product that we're looking for, save all the information from the products, like all the titles, all the URLs, description, and the pricing in the variables, and then render the custom actions with this variable. As you can see, it looks awful. There's some interaction, but it kind of works, right? And you ask me, hey, Eugene, so why? Like, this is like literally a cursor. So we can like literally do the cursor here, right? Yes, but there are two things. First, even if you are doing the cursor, imagine like doing it with, especially for the ecom, but like that I'm doing, or with the businesses that care a lot about branding, it can be in their like brand styles, right? So it can be like the same kind of widgets that they have on their websites, which is improving the customer experience. It's first thing.
Second thing, this is a very simple use case. As you can see, this is a full interactive element, whatever. Like you cannot click it, but it's like made literally by Claude in 5 minutes. So you can build anything here. And this is how I am planning to integrate it in my next project, which I am like 100% will record a video about. And I'll like show you the actual like final great nice custom actions that we're using for the client. This thing, like this code, will be designed by by my developers. It's not hard, like it's just the like simple HTML with CSS, right? Like this is I'm not sure, like maybe it's React component. I have like zero knowledge about coding, so let me know in the comments what the heck is this, but whatever. So yeah, and like you can do anything here. There are like obviously some limitations. You can do a vertical, like the loop, like the gallery, or if you are displaying, for example, the past like billing information for your customer, you can do it in tabs, right? So like you can update you can let them update the information. So this is like a website interface inside chat, right? The question you might ask is, okay, Eugene, so wait, why are we transferring the like website experience in chat? Like why, right? So like they have the website, and if you have great website, they will have some of these options. Yes and no. So maybe like for example, like here they will not have this option. They will have the kind of interface but with default products. Or if we're talking about like the billing use case, or with the use case where they provide the information, for example, like the form is a great like example, like this one. Let's actually while I'm talking, I will update it. So why like why do you need to render a form inside the chat, right, when there's like literally a form on the website, right? So they can just fill it out. So why do that? I'll tell you. Because it's not okay, so I did not update it. Because it's not just a form, right? It's an actual AI. And throughout, because we are rendering it dynamically based on the user inputs, right? First. And second, because it's how the conversational flow might be improved. So instead of like, obviously here, I would not do the description, and I would not do this, right, in the real use case. And this is kind of giving you hints, kind of the use cases on the like final thing that we're gonna do for our client. We're gonna have like multiple custom actions. The first one will be like choosing the actual product in the service, right, which is like, for example, limited to here. The second one would be gathering the information about the service. And the third one is like the confirmation. So it's like you can like vary differently to improve the customer experience and render different forms in different steps. Our goal is to simplify it as much as possible. So one thing before we end this conversation, I'm not sure, this is probably 2-hour long video. If you watch till the end, it means that you care a lot about my videos and really like it. I am launching a new business November 9th, okay? I'm not gonna give you a lot of details, and as you can see, this is not like a final and official announcement. I'm not gonna give you the details. But there is a link in the description. It's called 99players.com. You can go to the link, and this is the waitlist. So you can input your information there and wait for the announcement. That's where I kind of put my effort and most of the time right now into. Again, I will explain in further videos what this is all about. This is a paid product that I am going to launch. to my audience. Okay. But yeah, so if you are interested in looking for more ways to grow the business and to grow, your revenue streams, this is you should like check it out. There is no info there, but you can like input the information, go to the waiting list, and I will update the waiting list every. There's kind of 30 days left, so this is where you can get up-to-date information about the launch. So the final thoughts about the agent: you can build a lot of different things with it. This could be your edge on selling agents and chatbots. I would not recommend you as an agency to focus only on like building the agents or chatbots. Again, it really depends on your situation. I would say the best thing to do is to focus on one specific niche and fix certain problems. Because if the problem is big enough, you can focus on one problem, or you can just focus on one niche and integrating AI everywhere possible inside the niche for the clients in the niche. So, and you should not like limit yourself to only chatbots, only agents, only automations, only the whatever, like the email sequences. So you should adapt, right? And then once you understand the niche, once you understand your offerings, once you have like case studies, you can go and actually like productize maybe the service. This is like, I don't even productize my service yet because I'm just not interested in it. And I don't see how to do that because we are targeting with our cold emails campaigns, we're targeting like different industries. And I receive like different referrals, and I receive like different requests from this YouTube channel from different people in the industry. And I have the team, I have the capability to get like more work done, right? So I don't like see myself limiting the amount of offerings that we currently do. We'll see what happens next. But this will give you, I think, a pretty good understanding on what's possible right now. Again, all the links in the description. This will be in my resource hub, check99players.com. Thanks for watching. Peace.